At the end of the day, this just goes down as another loss for the Washington Wizards. However, tonight it's much deeper than that. Tonight proved to me they are building a special culture.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, free and available every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. Caffeinated kick and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Ben Strober, your co-host here of the Locked On Wizards podcast, flying solo today. AB will be back with me tomorrow evening. We're recapping a Washington Wizards loss tonight to the Toronto Raptors, 134-125. And I'll say it right now, this was the most fun I've had during a loss in quite some time. There's a lot I want to get to in today's episode, but the main point I want to make to you today is that the Wizards in this loss, and I say this lightly because I think it's hard to do this without truly winning, I think the Wizards are truly building a culture here in DC. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that today. I want to talk about some big nights from the young guys, including Will Riley, who had 19 points tonight to lead all scorers. And then also want to talk about the Wizards signing Julian Reese, former Maryland Terrapin, to a two-way contract. I will do that in this as well. We got a little bonus content for you. The Wizards showed that they are building a culture tonight. And there's a couple of anecdotes I want to tell you from this game. Just aside from the stats and the contributions from the young guys tonight, I want to talk about leadership and how the Washington Wizards are starting to develop that and find that from their young players. And there's one moment that really stuck out to me late in the third quarter of this game. And I knew this was the case for Keyshawn George. He's out of this game at this point. He only played 15 minutes in this game. Now, Brian Keefe told us pre-game that he'd be on a minutes restriction. An awesome night for Keyshawn, by the way. 5 of 7 from the field. He knocked down all 3 of his looks from the outside. 14 points, 3 boards, an assist, 2 blocks for Keyshawn as well. I thought he looked really good creating separation on his jump shot, and he just kind of looked like that dominant player that we had seen at times this season. I think this was a much-needed performance for his confidence. But no, this has nothing to do with how he played on the floor tonight. This is a moment that stuck out to me. I tweeted this out. In this game, Justin Champagnie had a tough drive to the basket. He absorbed a lot of contact, and the layup rimmed out. He was down on the ground sitting with his head in his hands pretty much, and he was watching the Raptors go the other way in transition. Now, what Keyshawn did, he got up from the Wizards bench, ran over to where Champagnie was on the baseline, and was screaming at him to get up and get back on defense. Now, Champagnie is not a super old player by any means. He's 24 years old. He's considered one of the young players on this team. But Keyshawn George, a guy that is 21, 22 years old in his second season, he is showing what kind of leadership skills he has developed here 2 years into his career. And there's a couple of other moments that stuck out to me about these guys and the culture that they're building. And once again, I say this lightly because you are doing this without the real impact of culture, which is winning. But at the end of the day, we know the Wizards are in a situation where the losses are a welcome result. And tonight, you can't really ask for much more. I think this is exactly what you're looking for in a loss at this point in the season. You got really meaningful contributions from all of your young players today. And I think when you see something like that, you actually see why this team can be special in the future. You see that you are building a foundation. And with a foundation of young players that have talent, you need to see what you have in terms of culture and leadership, because that's an important part. And I think they're building that in that locker room. And tonight, so many things just stuck out to me about the brotherhood and the energy that you see from this team. And it sounds cheesy talking about it. It sounds corny at the end of the day. Like you sound like Dan Quinn for the Washington Commanders talking about brotherhood. There's a real aspect of that, I think, in this Washington Wizards locker room. And I think it's going to pay off next year when they add Anthony Davis to the mix. You get a Trey Young into the mix. I think it's going to make real dividends in terms of your winning product that you're looking to put on the floor for years to come. Another moment that stuck out to me in this game was a drive to the bucket from Will Riley. And there were a lot of great drives in this game for Will Riley. He tried to go up for a poster. One, I love to see it. I love to see him being aggressive. I like to see him getting downhill, attacking to the backside glass. He did that really well tonight. Now, he didn't make the poster. He got fouled in the process. And, all good and fun. But what happened in the process came crashing down on an official. One of the Raptors guys he tried to poster came crashing down on the official and the camera operator. The entire Wizards bench got up off the bench, and I'm talking about 8 guys off the bench, got up to help the camera operator, to help the referee, to check in on those guys and make sure they were okay. To me, that is culture. Everybody did that at the same time, and nobody was asked to do it. The fact that everybody did it all at once, I think that says something to me. And I know there's going to be so many people that say, I don't really care. Like, they need to start winning games before I see culture. I get that. I totally hear you, and I understand that 100%. But I think they're laying the foundation for why they can be special tonight. All right, enough with those 2 anecdotes. I want to tell you about some big nights from these young guys. And I wanted to start tonight with Bilal Coulibaly, first of all. I'm going to get to Will Riley, I promise. I'm going to get to all the other guys. I want to start with Bilal Coulibaly because he's actually put together some really encouraging offensive performances as of late, in my opinion at least. Tonight he had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. He added a steal as well. 23 minutes played for Bilal. I think he showed offensively that he is capable of doing certain things I feel like are going to be necessary for him in the future and what his role might look like with this team. He was 6 of 10, so an efficient night for Bilal, which you love to see. I think he was aggressive, and he took the shots I felt like were good shots for him. Also, he turned the ball over 2 times tonight despite having it in his hands a good amount, so that's pretty good for him. Most importantly, 2 of 3 from downtown, so he didn't force it. He wasn't chucking up a high volume of threes. He was getting good looks at catch-and-shoot opportunities, and he got those to go down. I love when Bilal is aggressive. I love when you see him showcase offensive skill and raw athletic upside. That's going to be so important for his career and his development because you see the flashes with a guy like Bilal Coulibaly, and you just want to continue seeing it every single night. Moving on here to Bub Carrington tonight, who had a much better night scoring the basketball than he had had in really quite some time. 12 points for Bub, had 5 assists, 3 rebounds as well, and a steal. He was 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown. So good to see him knock down the 3 at a more efficient rate as well. I think Bub also had a couple of really impressive plays to me. I saw him creating separation in the mid-range like he had plenty of times this season. So encouraging to see him get it going. I also want to talk tonight about Tristan Vucevic because we knew he was going to be on a minutes restriction as well. He was one of the guys that Brian Keefe mentioned would be on the minutes restriction tonight. In 19 minutes, he had 13 points on 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown. And the thing I love about Tricky is he's never afraid to let it go from deep. And when you're a big man that plays with that type of skill down low, because he's a technician down there on the low block in terms of just the post moves and the touch he has down low, if guys are going to have to respect your game of the low post, that gives you an opportunity to stretch the floor. And there were a couple of instances there for Tristan where he is wide open to let it go from 3, and he did so, and he knocked it down at a 60% rate tonight. That is awesome to see from Tristan Vucevic, who I think is going to have a pretty prominent role on this team next year. Saw the flashes as well. Had a big block tonight, so you like to see that as well. He's continuing to work and improve on his defense nightly. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for him for the rest of the year is how can he improve defensively. Just get a little bit better about shuffling his feet, moving his feet a little bit, sticking with some of these guys, and just growing into his body. I think he's another guy that's going to benefit from the weight room, and it was proactive to get this guy on a new contract the way he did, a cheap deal for 3 years. So it was good to see that as well. A lot to talk about tonight, but I really do want to talk about Will Riley because he was excellent once again tonight. Led all scorers with 19. I'm going to tell you about Riley's performance when we come back here on Locked On Wizards. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snack stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late-night interviews hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, and even a phone charger for that friend whose phone is always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Will Riley is going to be a really good NBA player, and I think I've said that so many times on this podcast over the last week or so, but tonight was just another instance where you go, wow, with Will Riley. And it's another big reason why tonight was such a great loss, in my opinion. I hate saying the word great loss, and I feel like people are going to get so tired of me saying it, and everybody is tired of saying it all the time. They just want to sim to the lottery. I get that, but at the end of the day, I'm watching. I want to see development. I think we saw real development from a guy like Riley tonight, who got to play 35 minutes in this game. So yes, that's more like it. I'm done seeing the Will Riley 4-minute performances. I don't want to see a 12-minute Will Riley performance. 35, that should honestly be the minimum that we see for Will Riley at this point, given that you only have a guy like Keyshawn playing 19 points to lead all scorers tonight for the Wizards, that is. 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from downtown. In another instance where you saw him getting some of these roles, trying to initiate with the offense, just attack. I love a guy that attacks relentlessly to the basket, and that's exactly what Riley did in this game. If you see a guy that has the ability to handle the basketball at his size, around 6'10", and shoes, that is a scary combination. We've seen so many players that have dominated in this league for years at a size like that. It takes time to be that type of player, somebody that can initiate the offense and really play with the basketball in his hands well, and that's why this part of the season is so important for a guy like Riley. He displayed excellent footwork, in my opinion, in this game. Just the ability when you get 2 feet in the paint to see what you can do from there, because there are instances when you're Riley, like, you're a little bit thin right now. You're going to get muscled up. You're going to get bodied at times. And when that's the case, you have to find a way to be crafty. You have to find a way to use your skills to get a good-looking shot. And there were a couple of occasions in this game where I saw Riley using his excellent footwork to find ways to create separation and get looks at the rim. He seems like a guy that always seems to be in the right spot as well. And I think that means a lot as a player because it showcases his basketball IQ. And I think that's exactly why he's going to be a really good player in this league. It's going to be so interesting to see how the Wizards shape up rotations next season. What happens this offseason? Because they're going to have to make decisions at this point on who's going to stay, who's going to fall out of the rotation, what are they going to do in the offseason, especially if you land a top 3 pick in this draft. Could be a really, really crowded room once again on the wing, and it might get even more crowded because if you land A.J. DeMonsa in this draft, then my God, you're getting another wing with superstar potential on this roster. Or, if you get a Darren Peterson, where does that leave for Trey Johnson as the 2 guard? Because I thought Johnson had a really good night tonight as well. Johnson, to me, seems like a star that's hiding in plain sight right now. And because, if you compare him to Con Knippel, and I'm not going to make the comparison saying that Trey has been as good as Con, because that obviously wouldn't be the case. Con's been healthy the whole year. Trey hasn't always been healthy. Trey's had a couple of rough stretches shooting the ball. Con got off to a fast start. He shot over 40% from 3 on the whole season. But Johnson has an interesting bag to his game, and I think he can really do some stuff with the basketball in his hands. And tonight he had one really good drive to the bucket early in this game. He danced around a little bit with the ball, got the defender on his heels, took it all the way to the basket, switched hands at the last second, went from the left to the right, and he got the layup to go. And you see Trey Johnson make a play like that, and you saw him make some of those plays against Atlanta where he hits the sidestep 3. He's able to generate that type of separation. You just see Johnson as a guy that's not really benefiting right now from the situation that he's in, because obviously you're seeing so many different rotations for this Wizards team. You're seeing different guys playing the point guard role. But when you see that get ironed out next year with a guy like Trae Young to be your floor general, I think it's going to do wonders for Trey Johnson. He's going to shoot the ball really well. He's going to shoot the hell out of the basketball next year, I think. And I think he's going to continue to get better playing with the basketball in his hands, moving off the basketball as well. And they can really start to run an offense that makes sense for Trey Johnson. How are you going to get him more involved offensively, set him more pin downs? We saw them do that at times this year. Kind of at the point of the year, they're not doing that as much as you would like to see right now, but I've actually been really impressed with how Johnson has played, especially the last 2 nights. I think he's really got his confidence and his swagger back that he was missing for a couple of weeks there since he was coming back from injury. Maybe he's now starting to feel a little bit healthy. He's starting to get back into it, which is good to see. What else tonight? What else did we see? Aside from everything I talked about with the young guys, this is such a funny game that the Wizards are playing right here because they shot the ball well tonight, 53% from the field. You shot 47% from three in this game, and you still pretty much lost by double digits in the game, and it was close. The Wizards were winning this game by 3 at halftime, and at that point on, I said, all right, I think I've seen enough. This was a really good first half for this Wizards team. They shot the basketball really well. They were hot, and you knew at the end of the day, like, Toronto is a deeper team. They are a team that's top 5 in the Eastern Conference right now. They're a pretty good squad. You knew eventually they'd probably wear down this Wizards team. The rotations the Wizards would use at some point would probably see them lose the lead late in the game, and that's part of the plan. That is a welcome result right now. Just the third quarter really killed Washington in this game, 37-28. The Raptors outscored the Wizards, but that's perfectly fine. I am good with that, and I am A-okay with the result that we saw tonight. You saw culture from these guys. You saw leadership from guys that you hadn't seen before. I was starstruck when I saw Keyshawn George do what he did to Justin Champagnie. And Champagnie's a guy I look at as a leader of this team. Maybe just kind of had a momentary lapse of focus right there where he's watching the Raptors run down in transition. He was frustrated after missing that shot at the rim. Keyshawn, man, big shout out to him for showcasing the type of leader I think he can be. And you know that these guys want to be in a position where they can win. I know it must absolutely boil their blood right now that they're in this position where they don't get to play that much and they don't get an opportunity to show how good they can be because you're in this situation with a top 8 protected pick and how many teams are tanking in the NBA right now. It must feel ridiculous and somewhat silly at times for these players, but they're out there trying to show why they can be leaders, why they can be successful NBA players. And I think the Wizards really showed that they are building a special culture in this game. I'm thrilled with this win. This is definitely the happiest. Why did I say win? It feels like a win to me. It feels like a win to me. This is the happiest I've been and the most satisfied I've been after a loss, I think, in quite some time. It's good to be back to feeling like this because the last couple of nights were non-competitive. You weren't seeing any real development. It kind of looked like there wasn't a plan out there at times. They responded well. They rebounded well. And that's good to see. You see these guys care, and they want to go out there and get better every single night. All right, I'm going to sprinkle this in here for the final couple minutes of the show here. The Wizards signed Julian Reese, Baltimore product out of St. Francis, a high school teammate of Bub Carrington, former Maryland Terrapin, my guy, Julian Reese. He's on a 2-way contract. We got that news officially confirmed this morning. Now, this is interesting. You know, the background information you see with Reese here is that he's going to bring you a little bit of size, a little bit of rebounding that you need. He'd been playing in the G League for Toronto, and he'd been doing a nice job rebounding the basketball this year. Rebounding has been a big issue for Washington as of late, especially what was the rebounding? So the rebounds were even tonight, 35-35. Not really as much of an issue tonight. But I think overall when you don't have Sarr out there, and even though he's not a great rebounder at this point, it's good to have a guy, a body, like Reese to go out there, play a little bit of defense, rebound a little bit, and see what he can do for you right now. He's a young guy. He's trying to prove himself. And I saw his career develop in front of my very eyes at the University of Maryland. All 4 years, he's a unicorn because he played all 4 years at school despite Mark Turgeon, his head coach, leaving 8 games into his freshman season. It says a lot about the character of Reese, and I know he's going to get the rap because of his sister Angel. He couldn't be more opposite than his sister. I'm telling you, he's a more reserved and quiet kid, but he's a hard worker. He is a galvanizer. He is a guy that was one of the leaders of that Crab 5 starting unit that went to the Sweet 16 last year. He got better and better every single year he played college basketball, and this is all about development. This is an opportunity where Reese will get to develop here. And I think at this point, I'm not expecting to see Sarr really anytime soon. We got the update that he's a little bit further behind even Trey Young in terms of getting back into basketball activity right now. So with that being the case, I don't know, you're just going to see a lot of minutes here for Vucevic, and then you're going to have Reese give you a little bit of size off the bench. I think this is a good opportunity for him, and I think this is a good look for the Wizards to see what they can get out of him. He's a guy, to me, when he was in college, the first 2 years of his career, he almost suffered from what I'm just going to call Alex Sarr syndrome, because Alex Sarr rookie year syndrome was essentially not being able to realize how big you are on the floor. How many times we talked about Alex Sarr in his rookie season saying, I wish in this situation he would just go up and dunk the basketball. Just show why you're a 7-footer, why you're so big. And Reese is a guy that's around 6'9", 6'10". He's not as big as Sarr, obviously. But at times in college, I just felt like he lacked the physicality that was necessary from him becoming really good. But by the time he got to his senior season and he was playing alongside another big in Derek Queen, who's obviously been a really good rookie this year for the New Orleans Pelicans, it started to look really put together for Julian Reese. And I think we could see something similar here in D.C., at least for the time being. You got him on a two-way contract. He'll get some reps with a go-go. He'll get some reps with the NBA roster. I think this is a good look to see what you can get out of a player like this, because to me, it always stuck out in his college days. And maybe you could think I'm biased here because I called a lot of his games, and obviously a huge Maryland fan. I wanted to see him get an opportunity in the league. And he bounced around a little bit. He got picked up by the Raptors, for the Lakers first in the Summer League, and then he ended up getting the opportunity with the Raptors playing in the G League this season. And I think here in D.C., you'll get the opportunity that's presented to you, and I think he can help you out a little bit. He's not going to be a guy that's going to move the needle and make you compete too hard and win games, but he can help you out on the boards a little bit and help these games maybe not be as lopsided as they could be. That'll do it, though, for this episode of Locked On Wizards. A lot of fun recording a podcast when there's fun things to talk about, right? Right, everybody? And I see you guys in the comments. You're having a lot more fun tonight than you were the past couple of nights. And if you're listening right now, I'm telling you, this Wizards team is building a special culture. I know you're not going to see the results on the floor right now, but there are little things that are sticking out about this team and these players, these coaches, and this front office right now that stands out as an organization that is changing its perception around the league. And it starts with the players. The players create the culture. The front office and the coaches obviously play a part, but the players have to buy in. And I think everybody is bought in and is on the same page for what's yet to come for this Wizards organization. I think next year is going to look really different, and I think it's going to be a whole lot more fun. That's all I got for you today, though. We want to thank everybody for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, be sure to check out Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball or our 24/7 live stream on the YouTube page. I'm Ben Strober signing off here for the Locked On Wizards podcast. Talk to you tomorrow night. Have a good one, DC family.